Greetings, console commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. I'm Commander Cylon, and today I'm going to be talking about ship modules, what they all mean, what the classes and ratings and sizes all mean, and which ones I think are important to get. So let's get into it. So we're here in outfitting. Right now we're looking at my Cobra Mark III. And in the first category here we have hardpoints. Now this ship can carry 2 medium and 2 small hardpoints, or known as size 2 and size 1. There are large size 3 hardpoints, and then there are huge size 4 hardpoints. Those are on the much larger ships. I personally do not run any weapons on my Cobra Mark III, and that is because this ship is fast enough to escape pretty much any situation that it gets put into. This is just simply a cargo and data running ship with a little bit of exploration thrown in as well. So whenever I get interdicted by a pirate, I just submit to the interdiction and then boost away several times to where they're out of range, and then I jump. This ship, as you can see at the bottom, is a 451 meters per second boost. That's faster than most of the ships out there. Any of the large ships that are large enough to mass lock me are too slow to keep up, and any of the small ships that are fast enough to keep up, like the Eagle and the Courier, are too small to mass lock me. So I don't feel the need to run hardpoints on this ship, as I'm not going to be fighting in it. There's nothing wrong with running, because you can survive when you run. You run the risk of losing your cargo, your missions, and your ship if you stick around and fight. There's nothing wrong with fighting, especially if you want to get good at it, but I personally don't feel the need for fighting in this ship, and weapons just weigh the ship down and slow down my top speed. So I feel that there's no need to run it. However, on other ships, I do run weapons, so this one I do not. And this is the only ship I currently have on the PlayStation 4. Despite the fact that I don't have any on this ship, I can show you what this particular station offers. Cannons, these things are actually pretty neat. They have very limited ammo, unfortunately, but these things shoot a very large either ball or slug at your target. They can do some pretty good damage, actually. They're, like I said, they just are very limited with their ammo. You can engineer to get more ammo into these things, so let's keep that in mind. However, for kinetic weaponry, a lot of commanders like to use multi-cannons. I just find regular cannons to be fun and a different change of pace when it comes to combat. Fragment cannons, these things, they're basically like the shotgun of Elite Dangerous. You kind of have to get in real close, but then when you fire, they can do some pretty good damage. Mines, they are exactly what you think they are. They are mines. You leave these things, they launch out of your ship, they get left behind you, and then any ships that are chasing after you, if they don't see them, they'll run into them and they'll cause a pretty good amount of damage. These things have become pretty useless lately, just because NPC ships, have gotten really good at spotting them and avoiding them. I can remember a day when they'll just run into them without a care in the world, and you can take out a pretty decent sized ship with a couple volleys of mines. Unfortunately, now that they will avoid them, they can see them. You can see them on your HUD. They show up as little white boxes on your radar. They'll avoid them, and they become pretty much useless. So they have to get in pretty close in order for these things to do any damage. Mining laser is exactly what it is. It's for mining. It's not actually a weapon, but it takes up a hardpoint slot. Missiles. There are 2 different types of missiles. There are the dumb missiles and the seeker missiles. Dumb missiles are exactly that. They're dumb. When you fire them, they just keep going straight. Seeker missiles require a lock-on before they're able to be fired. Why would you use dumb missiles? Well, sometimes there are missions for taking out generators on planetary bases. This is what you'll use them for. You'll use missile racks like this, dumb missiles. You fire them at part of the base, they'll blow up the generator, and then you hightail it out of there. If you want to get crazy and use these for ship-to-ship combat, then go for it. They pack a pretty good amount of punch. As a matter of fact, the dumb missiles cause more damage than the smart ones. Multi-cannons, like I said, a lot of commanders like to use this for their kinetic damage output. Do you see these little icons down here? You've got the weird plus sign there and the weird thingy there. Underneath the size and the ratings. This icon right there is gimbaled, which means that they have They will track your target to a limited degree of turn. And these are turrets. These things, as long as your ship is not in the way, will fire regardless of where the enemy ship is. So if you have these on the top of your ship, as long as the enemy ship is above you, they will shoot at it. The gimbals they have a very small range of movement. And then there are also fixed. Those have little icons of a target on them. The fixed weapons will only shoot straight. So wherever your ship is pointed, that's where they'll shoot. They have no tracking at all. The fixed weapons hit harder than gimbaled, and gimbaled hit harder than turreted. So keep that in mind. Turreted weapons typically are extremely expensive. Plasma accelerators. These things are pretty neat because these ones are both kinetic and thermal at the same time. Kinetic weapons are good against hull. Thermal weapons are good against shields. Keep that in mind. Plasma accelerators are fixed weapons only. See, there's a little target. So you have to be pointed at your target in order to hit it. These things do not fly very fast. It's like a big ball of plasma that flies through space. They don't fly very fast, so you're going to have to lead your target a little bit if they're moving. These things also generate a good amount of heat and use up a lot of power. So you're not going to be able to rapid fire these things too much. Otherwise, your ship's going to start to develop a lot of heat itself. And if you take up too much heat, you're going to start taking damage. Pulse lasers. These are the generic, not really generic, but this is the most common thermal weapon that a lot of commanders and even NPCs ships like to use. This particular station only has turreted ones here, but they also come in gimbaled and fixed. They fire lasers out at a pulse type of rate. There are also beam lasers that are steady. And then there are burst lasers, which fire, I think, a 3-round burst of lasers. Pulse lasers use up the least amount of heat. I think it goes up the burst and then beam. Beam lasers will use up a lot of heat, but they also like to stay on target a lot more if you've got gimbaled or turreted. And they also like to cause the most damage, but they also like to use up the most amount of power, and they're going to drain your power distributor a lot faster. So that's why a lot of people like to use the pulse lasers. Railguns are very similar to plasma accelerators, as they are both kinetic and thermal. And they are also fixed, and you're going to have to lead your target a little bit more. These ones are a little different than the plasma accelerators. Plasma accelerators, when they fire the shot. It travels not very quickly through space and then hits your target. Railguns are a little different. They are almost an instant shot. However, it takes a couple seconds or a second to charge it. So when you pull the trigger on your controller, it's going to pause and then fire. So it's kind of like it has to charge it a little bit and then fire. So again, you're going to have to point your ship at where your target's going to be the moment you pull your trigger, because it's not an instant shot. However, these are really, really great at taking out individual ship modules if you're an ace target, dead-eye target guy. They'll rip right through shields and hit right through hull and cause damage to specific modules. So if you are really good at aiming fixed weapons and can deal with the massive amount of heat that these things generate, then railguns are the weapons for you. And then there are torpedoes, which are kind of like missiles, but they are slower, but they do pack a good amount of heat, or a good amount of damage. They just have to lock onto your target first. So those are some of the wide variety of weapons. I kind of like the cannons. They're pretty fun. They're not as fast firing as the multi-cannons, but the most common loadout that a lot of commanders like to use will throw pulse lasers and multi-cannons on their ship. They use their pulse lasers on their enemy's shields, and then once the shield goes down, they'll switch to a multi-cannons. And that's what I was actually running on my Cobra for a while. I had 2 pulse lasers and 2 multi-cannons. And it helped me out when I was doing combat. There was a community goal that required the collection of bounties, so I did a little bit of combat with this thing. It's not super great, but I was able to hold my own. And that is pretty much the most common when it comes to hardpoints. The next category are utility mounts, and this particular ship has 2. Many other ships has several. I think the Anaconda has like 5 or 6 of them. But these are for your kind of like miscellaneous things, like your point defense, your chaff launcher, some wake scanners, kill warrant scanners, stuff like that. ECMs, those are missile defense systems. Point defense is also missile defense systems. Manifest scanners, where you can scan the cargo loads of other ships. Shield boosters. This is kind of like the oddball, odd and end type of things in this category. I particularly run a point defense and a chaff launcher on mine, just in case some ships are quick enough and get a couple shots off. I can defend myself a little bit before I jump away. For core internals, this is the important bit. Your bulkheads here, there are lightweight alloys. Unfortunately, there's none here in stock at the station that I'm currently at. But there's military grade. There's other hulls that add to your armor. Now, it slows your ship down. It reduces its maneuverability a little bit because your ship weighs a lot more. It reduces your jump range, but it'll protect your ship a lot more than the lightweight alloys will. All ships come stock with the lightweight alloys. So if you want to run a dedicated combat ship, I recommend maybe throwing on a heavier bulkhead, at least the military grade ones. For your power plant, this particular slot, okay, let's get into the classes and ratings first. There are a lot of different sizes and letters here. This particular ship, as you can see from the dots right here, it shows the largest size that you can get. So in this slot for power plant, the largest power plant I can put in here is a size 4, given by the 4 dots there. I only have a 3A in here, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But the different classes, you have E, D, C, B, and A. E-rated power plants or E-rated modules are what the ship will be fitted in when you first buy it. They weigh as much as, actually a little lighter than the Class C and Class A, but they are the worst performing ones. You want to upgrade from these as soon as that you are financially capable of doing so. They are awful. And there's a reason why they come with the ship, is so you can upgrade to something better later on. D-class or D-rated items, those are your lightweight items. There's nothing wrong with this, especially for exploration vessels, to have a D-rated items, although for exploration you want an A-rated item. But lightweight items are exactly that. They are a little bit weaker in the armor department, but they are lighter weight, that which increases your jump range, as you can see at the bottom of the screen in the blue. So it's not bad to have a D-rated item, but just keep in mind that they are the least armored, but they are the lightest weight. So if you want to go for a full lightweight ship, maybe you've got a race type of ship like an Eagle or a Courier that you want to go as fast as possible, maybe to run some canyon runs and stuff like that, then you'll want a lightweight everything. And to do that, you're going to want a D-rated power plant and other items. C-rated items, like the 2C here, that one is a good trade-off if you can't afford the A-rated item. C-rateds they weigh as much as the A-rated items but perform slightly less. They are cheaper, so there's a little bit of a trade-off. You're not going to get, say for this one, the power plant, it tops off at only 8 megawatts, whereas the A-rated one will give me 9.60 for the Class 2, but it's cheaper than the A-rated one. It has similar heat efficiency as the A-rated, the exact same weight as the A-rated, but it's just going to perform a little bit less. So if you can't afford the A-rated stuff, the C-rated items they're gonna help you out. As long as you're able to power your ship enough, they're going to be fine. B-rated items, those are your armored ones. They weigh significantly more than the C and A rated items, but they are also heavily armored. Yes, this one, the 3B, will perform a little bit better than the 3C, but you're going to lose off in top speed and jump range because these things weigh a lot more. They're also, however, going to survive a firefight a lot longer than the other items if the ship that's fighting you is specifically targeting that module. And then you have your A-rated items, which is just the best of the best. You're going to get the most power output. You're going to get the most performance. You're going to get the most out of everything in this with the A-rated items. Now, the reason why I only have a 3A versus a 4A is because I don't need a 4A power plant if my ship is only drawing 9.89 megawatts. I don't need 15.6 megawatts. So what I typically do is I will outfit my ship with everything that I need it to have and then upgrade the power plant. And I'll upgrade the power plant to an A-rated item, but the smallest one that I need to power my ship. Now, I've gotten a little bit higher than this, more than I need, because right now my power plant is shelling out 12 megawatts and I only need 9.89, but the 2A power plant isn't enough. So I went with a 3A. I could go with a 3C, but I mean, I might as well go with a 3A and have a little bit better performance if I ever need it. I do outfit the ship and change things up every once in a while as well. So, but that is your classes and ratings and size for particular items explained. For thrusters, same thing. You can fit a size 4 on this particular ship. A lot of these are redded out, and that's because these thrusters, even all the way up to a 3A, are not strong enough to lift this ship off the ground. That's why these are all red. I can't buy any of these because they're just too weak to power my ship. So I have a 4A installed on this one. And another reason why I went with a 4A on this particular ship, besides the fact that I couldn't run anything smaller, is because, like I said before, this ship is built for speed, to escape any harm that's going to come to it. And the 4A is going to give me the most performance possible. It's going to give me the highest boost speed, the highest top speed, etc. Now, this is before, obviously, any engineer modifications. All of my stuff on this ship are completely stock. There's no engineer modifications or upgrades whatsoever on any of these parts. So if you've got the money for thrusters, I highly recommend it. However, a 4C or a C rated thrusters will suffice until you're able to throw more money at the 4A or the A-rated thrusters for whatever ship that you're using. A lot of exploration ships, dedicated exploration ships, will throw D-rated thrusters on their ship just because of its lightweight, and it'll increase their jump range. For exploration vessels, you kind of want the furthest jump range that you can possibly get with your ship. Frameshift drive. You're going to want an A-rated frameshift drive, the largest, best that you can get, as it'll increase your jump range the furthest possible. Right now, this one can, on this Cobra, you can only fit up to a size 4, and I have a 4A. Obviously, you try and get the biggest one that you can financially, but don't forget, don't fly without a rebuy. Buying all this stuff for your ship and going completely flat broke with an upgraded ship is dangerous, and because if you lose it, then you're bankrupt and you start all over. So only upgrade your ship so you can afford the rebuy or the insurance cost in the bottom right hand corner, as that way you don't lose your ship and start all over if you blow up. So, but for frameshift drive, try and get the biggest, best that you can afford. Again, the same thing applies for these. The D-rated ones obviously are going to be the lightest, but even for exploration vessels, dedicated exploration vessels will go for the best one that they can get. But obviously, a 3B is more heavily armored than a 3C, etc. So definitely try and get the best that you can afford and still afford your rebuy. Life support. This is in case your canopy breaks or your ship loses power. If you run out of fuel, you're going to lose power. Your life support will keep you alive for a specific amount of time. You see right there, right here, where it's just went highlighted, the amount of time that this particular life support is going to give me. This particular station only has a 3C, B, and A in-house. I particularly have a 3D because it's the lightest weight that I can get, but with the most amount of time for that size. So I like to have a balancing act between weight and usefulness. This particular ship, it will come with a 3E life support. Well, it weighs a lot more than the 3D, so I threw the 3D on there knowing that if something happens to my ship and for whatever reason my canopy blows out, I'll have 7.5 minutes to find my way to a station. Now, you will lose your entire HUD if you lose your canopy, so there are ways to still navigate and without your canopy HUD in front of you. I've done it before. It's not easy, and I will make a future video on that, explaining how to do that. So that way, just in case you run into this situation, you're not stranded or lost, and you'll be able to hurry up and try and get back to another station. But for life support, unless I'm running a dedicated combat ship, I always go with a D-rated life support. C for most of my combat ships. If I have a dedicated combat ship, I'll maybe throw a C-rated life support on there if I have enough power to do so. These other ones, I don't see a point, because if you can't get yourself back to a station in 7.5 or 10 minutes, then you're not going to get yourself back to a station. It's just the way it is. You shouldn't need 25 minutes to come back to a station. If you're on a dedicated combat ship, you're not way out in the deepest, darkest parts of the galaxy away from the bubble. So you're going to be near a station somewhere. So I usually just go with a D-rated just because it's the lightest. Power distributor. Power distributor is really important. This will determine how much power goes to your systems, engines, and weapons. The most important bit for this particular ship, as I don't run weapons, is protecting my shields and my boost. If you are running a A-rated power distributor, then you'll be able to recharge your boost quicker and quicker and quicker. It means you'll be able to boost faster or more often than you would with some of the lower rated power distributors. So in order to escape my enemies, I want to be able to boost as quickly and as often as possible. So this is the reason why I went for the biggest and best power distributor. And to be honest, they're not that expensive. This one, the 3A being the most expensive at just over 150,000 credits. So that's, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that expensive. So I recommend going with the best power distributor that you can based on whatever your ship is built for. Now, if you're going to go for combat, obviously you're going to go for a 3A just because it's going to give you the most power as often as possible. It'll be able to power your weapons, your shields, a lot better than anything else that you can. Any of the smaller ones that you can fit on your ship. Now, for sensors, I also went with D-rated sensors on here just for the weight saving purposes. Unfortunately, this station does not have any in stock. But this particular ship came with a 3E. I went with a 3D. Now, sensors is mostly for target scan angle. That is the angle at which your ship is pointed at that particular target before it's able to read it. A-rated sensors will be able to have a much larger scan angle. This is particularly more useful in combat style ships than it would be for really anything else. You will be able to target be able to select your target at a much more extreme angle than you would for a lower grade sensor. So that's where that comes in to be the most important. And then fuel tank, you can lower this if you wish. I can't see why you would unless you are going for, again, a canyon running racing type of ship or trying to go with the highest possible jump range you can get. But even so, you're going to limit the amount of jumps that you have if you have a smaller fuel tank. Now, your optional internals, this can be a wide variety of things. This is pretty much everything else. This is where your shield generator is. This is where your fuel scoop is. This is where your cargo racks are. This is where your planetary vehicle hangar sits. Any type of scanners that you have. Your planetary approach suite, don't really mess with that. I don't know if they ever fixed it, but back when this was first introduced, if you tried to select it, it'll crash the game. So this is where you can really customize your ship out. For me, being, again, this is just a cargo and data runner ship, I went with a 3D shield generator for the lightweight, and yet it provides some protection. It's not much. This shield generator is really if I happen to bump into something, to be honest with you. It's not really going to protect me much beyond that. It might be able to handle a couple of shots from a pulse laser, but it's really going to need the help from my chaff launcher and point defense if it really wants to protect my ship. Again, speed for this ship is its greatest defense. I do have some cargo racks on here. Let's go into see what this particular station has to offer and what you can put in here. AFMS, those are the auto fuel maintenance units. Those will help repair modules on your ship if you cannot get back to a station to do that, at a station. It will not, however, repair hull, and it will not repair canopies. But these are usually pretty important on exploration vessels. If you're going to go on any sort of long-range exploration trip, I highly recommend taking one of these if you can, because this will save your ass. Cargo racks, self-explanatory, they hold cargo. Docking computers, if you suck at docking at a station, go ahead and throw one of these on your ship. It will take up a slot that you could use for something else, but if you are really, really struggling with docking, then throw one of these on there and it makes it a lot easier. However, caveat to that, watch your ship. Don't just select or request docking and then put the controller down and go grab a soda or something. You're going to want to watch your ship because these things aren't perfect. They have been known to crash ships into the side of stations. They have been known to just get lost. Sometimes the computer gets confused. Babysit your ship. Make sure it's able to get you to the parking spot safely, and then go up and do whichever you need to do. They are not perfect. They are not 100%. FSD interdictors. Those things will pull other ships out of supercruise. That's for mostly bounty hunting or pirating, if you wish to do that. While ships are in supercruise, you're able to rip them out. It turns it into like a little mini game, and you can try and pull ships out of supercruise and then deal with them however you wish. On the flip side of that, if you ever do get interdicted, I will have tips in another video on how to avoid, deal, and fight an interdiction. Fuel scoops. These things help you refuel your ship outside of a station. You scoop from stars. A certain amount of stars or certain types of stars are able to be scooped from. And these things will help you refuel your ship by getting close to a star. These are an absolute must if you want to explore because there are no stations outside the bubble. Remember when I was saying that D-rated items are the lightest, B-rated items are the heaviest, A-rated are the best? Well, that kind of applies and kind of doesn't to fuel scoops. Here's the thing. Fuel scoops don't weigh anything. Period. Nothing. They are free weight, if you want to call it that. They don't add any weight to your ship, and so they don't affect your jump range in the slightest. As you see in the top right, the mass is always zeroed, regardless of which one it is. So, and B isn't exactly armored because there's no weight to them. You can't armor something that has no weight. So, these are basically just ratings as far as which one's better and which one's worse. So E is the worst, A is the best, a 2 is better than a 1, a 3 is better than a 2, etc. So if you're going to go out and explore, then go with the largest fuel scoop that you can afford, also take into consideration your rebuy cost. Now, here's another tip. You don't need credits when you are on a long-range exploration trip. So if you're hurting for money, or you see that, not really hurting for money, but if you see that fuel scoop that's super expensive, like these things can get really, really pricey. Upwards of the hundreds of millions of credits. I think the most expensive is 250 million credits. I think that's for a class or size 7 or size 8. But if you are if you can still afford your rebuy, but that fuel scoop is going to take up most of your bank account, go ahead and get it. I mean, because you're not going to need those credits if you are on a trip to the core. Once you get back, you're still going to get all that money back for that fuel scoop when you sell it. So you don't need credits while in the black, as they say. So buy the largest fuel scoop you can. Make sure you can still afford your rebuy, because exploration is not completely 100% safe. But buy the most expensive fuel scoop you can, and then when you get back, sell it for all the money that you spent for it, and you'll get all that money back. So a little tip, as the larger the fuel scoop, the faster the scooping. The faster the scooping, the less time you are in the sun's or the star's heat, and the less chances that you are going to damage your ship from heat damage, and also the less time that you're going to be spending scooping. Fuel scooping can take a while on smaller ships if you have a really small fuel scoop, or on a bigger ship if you've got a really small fuel scoop. So the larger, the better the fuel scoop, the less time you are scooping, the less time that you are spending not exploring. So keep that in mind if you are going to go out there and explore. The better the fuel scoop, the better your trip's going to be. Fuel transfer limpets, these are what the good folks at the Fuel Rats use to refuel your ship. You can do the same if you wish. If you can refuel another ship if you have this system in your ship. There are unidentified signal sources out there with ships in distress. Sometimes, every once in a while, you'll run into a ship that has run out of fuel. If you have these on your ship, you can refuel that NPC ship and send them on their way. I've never done it personally. I've always wanted to. I thought it'd be pretty cool, but this is how you would do it, and this is what you need in order to do that. Hatchbreaker limpets, these things break cargo hatches to steal cargo. Pretty important for pirate ships. Planetary vehicle hangers is self-explanatory. The thing with this is there are two different types. There is a H and a G. The H type of planetary vehicle hanger weighs more but uses less power, and the G's are lighter but use more power. So keep that in mind. And obviously, class 2 has, or size 2 has 1 vehicle, a 4 has 2, a 6 has 3, etc. If for whatever reason you want to put a class 8, size 8 planetary vehicle hangers, if they even have those are for the type 9 and I think the cutter, then there you go. Prospecting limpets, those are for miners. You fire those at an asteroid and it'll read what type of metals that are in that particular asteroid if you wish to mine it. Refineries, again for miners, that once you pick up the material from space after you shot it with a mining laser, these things will refine it and create the tonnage of cargo of that particular element, metal, etc. Shield cell banks, these things recharge your shield if it has not been broken. However, they cause a significant amount of heat to your ship when you use them, but they will recharge your shields. Shield generators, these things create your shields. And then stellar body scanners. These things, this is the basic discovery scanner. I'll get to that in just a second here. This is the advanced discovery scanner. This thing right here, there's also the basic and the intermediate. The advanced discovery scanner, these are the honks that you can hear about that will show your system all of the celestial bodies. It'll show your ship all the celestial bodies in a particular star system. For the basic surface scanner, it's only a distance of 500 light seconds. The intermediate, I think, is 1,000, but the advanced is the entire system. Regardless of how far away the celestial body is, the advanced discovery scanner will tell you that it exists and where it is. The detailed surface scanner, which is this thing right here. Oh, by the way, the advanced discovery scanner is 1.5 million credits. The detailed surface scanner, 250,000 credits. That's when you point your ship at a celestial body, whether it be a star or a planet. You get close enough, you can scan it and get a full detail readout of what that celestial body is, what it's made of, its gravity, size, all that stuff. That's where you get that from. And these two items right here, the Advanced Discovery Scanner or HONK, will give you a limited amount of money in exploration data. The real money comes in from detailed surface scanners. This will give you the most money for whatever the body is, and if that item or celestial body has not been discovered yet, that's how you get your name put on there, is right here, the detailed surface scanner. If you are the first to discover that particular planet or star and you want your name on it, you need a detailed surface scanner. Both of these are an absolute must for explorers, and both of these will take up slots on your ship. Again, don't mess with that. The Planetary Approach Suite is how ships land on planets. That is for Horizon owners only. But yeah, that's pretty much the modules for Hardpoints, utility mounts, core internals, and optional internals. The other two slots in here are your livery, that's your paint jobs, and decals, and stored modules. In case you have a module that you want to store, say I go back here and I want to keep my Advanced Discovery Scanner and Detailed Surface Scanner and move it onto another ship that I buy. But being that this particular station does not sell these items, I'll store them in that little stored modules, and then I can buy my next ship and then move it over. This is also really important if you have engineered modules from the engineers, because once you take those off your ship and just sell them, they're gone. Like, you only have a set amount of minutes to hurry up and buy those back. But say your game disconnects, or you have a crash, or you wait too long, then those items are gone, and you're going to have to re-engineer them if you want to do that again. So the stored module is how you save those precious ship upgrades or those precious modules that you can't get at the particular station you're in. So that's it. I hope I was able to explain this clearly enough for you. If you have any questions, please put them down into the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to rate it and subscribe if you have not already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Fly safe, Commanders.